So yeah, I guess it's back. Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend. Yeah, not a great intro line to give to your therapist that you've ghosted for the past year. So yeah, we're here. We're doing this. I have no idea how long this episode's going to be, if I even call it an episode. It's more going to be like rambling. Literally would be surprised if anybody listens to this. But I have found that this type of creative verbal journaling helps me, and maybe down the road it might help somebody else. But what have I realized this week? I'm jacked. Not cooked, jacked. I have been stuck for a pretty long time. And if anybody knows my story, really no one really does, but it's a pretty messy one. Starting back at the age of 7, where I met the dude who gave me the inspiration for my Medusa tattoo. No alarms, it's not like a full up Medusa. She doesn't have snakes or anything. She has locks because I don't do snakes. And the whole conversation, like, I'll never get a tattoo for a guy. I've done it twice. Once, because I was underage drinking in college and thought the dude I was with was the one. Ha! Joke's on me. And then the other one was for my friend's father, who I met at the age of 7. And so starts my journey into trauma. But that's not the reason why the podcast series is going on. Um, like I said, I'm stuck. I said goodbye to my mom about 23 years ago. And I always tell people when my mom died and we put her in the ground, a part of me went with her. And that wasn't a joke. But what I've also learned is I've been stuck for almost 23 years. Stuck in the grief cycle. Because my therapist said, and that's going to be an ongoing spot in these conversations. My therapist said I haven't cleared through the grief cycle, right? That ends with acceptance. And my smart ass is like, what do you mean? I haven't accepted? I know my mom's dead. And her response was, acknowledgement is not acceptance. And that hit me like a stack of bricks. Acknowledgement is not acceptance. And that's when it all made sense. Because I have not accepted that my mother's gone. I acknowledge it. I'm a rational thinking person most days. And I'm fully aware that she fought cancer for a very long time, and I had to sit next to her in her final days. And I was the one who had to tell the doctors that she didn't want to be resuscitated if she lost consciousness. And picking out the coffin, looking at the plot, right? And I'm thinking, okay, this is all a part of it, right? But no, apparently I'm stuck. Stuck in the middle of this grief cycle between depression and anger. And I just keep flip flopping. Angry that my children did not get to meet my mother, who was an amazing person, who would have been an amazing grandmother to them. I'm angry that I didn't have the opportunity to drop off my kids at my mom's house, right? I'm angry that I didn't have the opportunity to ask questions. Because I don't know if you know, But being a mom without a mom is rough. It sucks. And a lot of the time I took just to try to figure out life, I was flip flopping between anger and depression. I was 25 when we had to say goodbye to my mom. 25, 26 in that frame. And I had just had my first child. I had my first child and my mom died all in the same year. Big year for me that year. And yeah, I've kind of been doing life stuck in the middle because when I'm not angry, I'm sad. And many people who can relate to what it feels like to live with a hole in your chest, to think about somebody every single day and not have one picture up in your house because you cannot look at them without the pain, and how grief bubbles up at the weirdest times. A certain smell, a certain song, the way the wind blows. But what I've also come to realize is I've learned to live like that in a constant state of grief. So, what's so different about this year? Well, this year I had to say goodbye to 5 people and my dog. And with each goodbye, it just brought these emotions to the surface again, to where I think mentally I ran out of my capacity to act like this wasn't happening. So that old familiar feeling of numbness started to surface. Numbness where I couldn't feel anything. No highs, no lows. You just wake up and do the drill, go to sleep, and do it again. And yeah, I'm in a PhD journey in psychology. I know trauma. I know trauma well. I work in a field that focuses on domestic violence, sexual violence, and I know the indicators that your check engine light's on and you're about to tap out in a big way. So, after ghosting my therapist for the past year, I reached out and said, "Hey, I need help. I can't keep going the way I'm going." And that's how I found out I'm stuck. So, that's why I'm having this conversation right now. And I don't know if anybody's listening. I have no idea. But I will say this. I don't this is not being used on my high class microphone with my headphones and all my mixing and mixers that you'll hear me use on my other podcasts. This is straight in my phone because I'm not here for performance. I'm trying to get the core of my issue, and maybe somewhere down the road it might help somebody else. If anything, to let you know you're not alone. And fully see and understand that healing is ugly. People get stuck in this performative loop of posting just the right lighting as I'm writing in my journal, or what Bible verse or quote can I share, or what walk in the in the park in nature can I do, and saying all these wonderful little things, but the most pure, perfect, curated songs. And not to say that stuff isn't good, and if it's working, that's great. My concern is when it's performative. Are we just doing this on the surface? And I know we live in a culture where it's like fake it till you make it, but that's not really such a great thing when we're talking about healing. So, yeah, I'm gonna talk about what it feels like to get tired of looking at yourself. Has anybody ever felt that way? Like they literally just get tired of looking at themselves? And I don't know, maybe we're in this Zoom culture where you're freaking in front of the computer in these video conferences all day, but you get tired of looking at yourself. Sometimes I get tired of myself. It's like that song by Pink, Don't Let Me Get Me. I'm my own worst enemy. Because I totally annoy myself sometimes. Sometimes I don't want to get out of bed. I have a mound of clothes in the corner right now that I need to fold, but I'm not going to. So yeah, I'm numb. I'm confused. But most importantly, I'm stuck. So yeah, that's why we're here. So if you're listening, welcome, welcome to the jungle. And it's not all going to be about doom and gloom. I'm definitely going to be talking about trifling as exes. So if you're an ex listening to this, you might not want to. Or if you want to see which one I'm talking about. Because the funny thing is, I can talk about a certain one, and I guarantee you some of the others are going to think I'm talking about them. So there'll be some funnies, there'll be some laughs, but the bottom line is I'm going to talk about the healing, not the performative type, the ugly type, the sitting in your car and not wanting to get out type, the zoning out, doing the 1,000 yard stare type, the hearing voices and being reminded of things that you would rather not be reminded of. So if this sounds like you, your story, or maybe you just want to hear the parts where I say, my therapist said, and you can join me in some techniques, that would be cool too. Do I know when each episode's going to post? I have no idea. Because this isn't going to be about being polished and putting on a show. This is just going to be real conversations and ramblings as I try to survive. So, that's it. It's the first episode, the first ramble. If you got this far, thanks. If you can relate to anything I've said, cool. I hate it for you if you could, but at least you know someone understands. Am I going to be able to sleep tonight? Doubt it. My sleep sucks too. But I don't know if that's because of the trauma or the premenopause or perimenopause, whatever the hell you call it. At any rate, this is where I'm ending this rambling session. Maybe that's what I'll call it, rambling sessions. Episodes sound so formal, and that's not what this is. So until next time, which I have no idea when that's going to be, you all take care. And let me hear from you. If anything I said you can relate to, I would love to know I'm not by myself on this train, even though it feels so lonely. All right, everyone, you take care. Stay safe. Stay hydrated.